The numbers are in for this year's moose hunt.
Our Ike Ben David learns about why biologists are disappointed with the results in this week's Wildlife Watch.
Moose are not a common sight in most of the state when wildlife watching.
In most of the state, moose are pretty sparse. You'd have a hard time finding one.
But in one corner of the state, it's a different story.
On the other hand, up in the northeast corner of the state, we actually have a pretty abundant moose population up there. It's mostly commercial timberland, so a lot of logging going on, creates a ton of food for moose, really good moose habitat. And so that part of the state has a lot of moose, but everywhere else they're a little hard to find.
Moose hunting has a very limited season. It's just a small stretch in October and only in what are 2 wildlife management units, which basically covers only Essex County.
You know, the thing to keep in mind with moose is while there aren't that many, moose evolved for there to be pretty sparse populations. In the northeast part of Vermont, we have one of the highest densities of moose in all of North America, even though it's not a ton of moose.
Last year, 100 permits were given out and 51 moose were harvested. This year, an increase, 180 permits were given out with 78 moose harvested, a number that scientists wish was a little higher.
I think at the end of the day, you know, this is normal variation. We could issue the same number of permits next year and maybe take a few more moose than we expected. So this is something we kind of plan on, and it's fine. And that's why we try to do this over a longer period of time, so it all kind of averages out.
Scientists say the reason for the increase in permits is about helping moose battle winter ticks. In an attempt to keep numbers down, they increase the permits given for moose hunting.
We're also trying to kind of manage the population, reduce it a little bit, and that helps control parasites, improve the health of moose, the big one being winter tick. Almost every year, moose are carrying tens of thousands of winter ticks through the winter. And even though ticks are small, that many of them draw a lot of blood, and it severely debilitates moose. It can kill a lot of calf moose over the winter. So our management at this point, you know, based on all the science we have, is that if we can keep moose numbers down a little bit, we're not talking dramatic here, but keep them a little lower than where they are, we can actually reduce the number of winter ticks that are out there. And thereby have healthier moose.
The state says they're going to review the data from this year's hunt and don't expect much changes for next year.
So barring anything dramatic, we'll probably keep doing what we're doing, but we want to make sure we are headed in the right direction.
In Pittsford, Ike Ben David, Channel 3 News.